This is Crossy. Welcome to part 3 of my Removing the Rust shoutcast series on Twitch TV and on YouTube. The whole plan for this is to try and shake off the rust, as the title says, and get myself back to at least somewhere near the level that my shoutcasting was at a couple of years ago, as I've jumped out and in and not really put the time and the focus into it, which is my bad. Last couple of weeks last couple of times I've done this, I've been learning quite a lot about where I need to improve the most. Last time out, concentrated a lot on play-by-play, but one bit of feedback which really hit home, and something I'm going to take into consideration when I do these in the future, is it seemed more like it was about me than it was about the teams and the action and the game. Which is a fair comment, and I think at the moment shoutcasters are worried more about how many views they get on their Twitch TV channel, etc., rather than they are about putting the best possible game out there for the viewers on a game which we still need to grow and improve and get more people into. So I'm going to go this time around for the best viewing experience I can. I'm going to go with the standard way that I would run a solo cast, and so that means that we are going to be using the overview, we're going to be using the scoreboard, and I'm going to be turning off the shoutcaster's best friend, which is X-Ray. This is a bold call. It might not go well, but we'll see. And I need to get as much practice in with this as I can. The game we're going to be watching is going to be between FM Esports and Western Wolves. And so this is a game from the group stages of the Mad Catz Birmingham Invitational, which we've just seen. Unfortunately, this FM Toxic lineup has been broken apart since, with the three Danes dropping out and going elsewhere. I won't mention that in the game though, because at the time when this was going live, they were still together. So a few fails with this one. I started this initially to run the stream, and it turns out that the point where the game was live actually wasn't live. So I think I've got it to the right point now. Fingers crossed, and let's get into it. So knives have been done, and we're going to be underway with Western Wolves kicking off on Terrace side. Quick rundown of the rosters. We've got Nilzinho, SMF, Kevzy, which is Kevin, Windansky, and Wolverine, who is Socken. And for Western Wolves, we've got Glaive, Pimp, Nico, MSL, who's shown as unconnected on the stream. Awesome. And we've got Nil, who is Selena Gomez. Great name. Always love it when these guys can try and confuse me with dodgy names, but I'm on top of it this time. I've done research. Straight on board with Neil as he tries to jump into the balcony. No such luck with that one though, and he's very quickly taken down. So numbers are in favour, as I do turn off the X-ray, of the CT side, FM Toxic. Interesting play from SMF, who goes and pushes to try and back up there, and gets well and truly cut down, and we have got a not live again. So this is second try this one. I'm not going to stop the stream this time unless it's a massive delay on the demo. These guys not particularly happy with their wooden PCs that they've clearly bought to LAN. These two teams that we see square off against each other, you would expect that Western Wolves will be seen as the favourites here. We saw them at CPH games come through and get themselves to the final stage to battle it up against Ninjas in Pyjamas, and it was a whitewash on train. NIP locked it down very, very quickly. But Western Wolves have got a lot of talent in this squad, and I think they're only going to go on from strength to strength. And a lot of strong teams and players starting to develop in the Danish setup, to be honest, as this FM Toxic team, as we see, have got 3 Danish players on board with them. Fnatic are largely Danish. 3 of their players are from Denmark, with 1 Swede and 1 Norwegian, I believe it is. So Scandinavians are putting out some pretty decent, strong lineups and players, and could be a force to be reckoned with. And of course, if we're talking Scandinavians, you can't look much further than Ninjas in Pyjamas, who were finally beaten in Ukraine by Virtus Pro. That ended the 87 map winning streak on LAN of Ninjas in Pyjamas, so I don't think they're going to be too worried about it as time goes on. So MSL is now showing as with his proper name on the overlay and not as unconnected, which is going to be helpful. And we are once again going for the live. We saw Western Wales push one player into the balcony and got cut down. That was Neil who tried that one. So maybe they won't be quite so aggressive again this time. Neil decided to have a cheeky look around the map. And as we have 1 minute left on the clock, we're looking for a pretty passive setup, but they're on now. Western Wales got 3 players pushing up Banana into that B site. Socken has to drop back as Windansky opens up with the first frag on MSL, but there is action on the other side as well as Neil and SMF get a couple of frags. That's 3 for SMF, and interesting play. 3 push up. Banana tried to work their way into A, get a plant in there, but with SMF and with Neil still in there and still making their way on their rotate, they're able to pick up on that one. And nice work from Toxic. Showed that they weren't too keen to rotate early, which you do see sometimes in Inferno, where you have a player that will go just a little bit too early. Usually your arch player will come on the rotate and sometimes leaves A open. And so it'll be interesting to see again how they handle these rotates, because they are going to be trying to work something up B, I think. A couple of Glock shots will have given away the position. There will have been at least one of them there. And Neil takes down Socken straight away. Windansky trying to make something happen, and he doesn't. The Irish team leader is cut down there in the ruins. He had a second Western Wales player following in there, so if he'd got the one, he probably would have been in trouble anyway. Glaive taken down to about 15 HP. The bomb is ticking away. This is a good sign potentially for Western Wales if they can lock it down. They do have the numerical advantage. No, they don't, because SMF is in there going huge again, as is Neil. 1v1 then. Neil's on the defuse. Is he going to get it? No, he's not. And that takes it to 1-1 then. Nice work from Western Wales as they go for a aggressive banana push, get the bomb planted, and manage to get themselves with a numerical advantage. 3-2 up. Or was it even 4-2 at one point? Frags being traded left, right and centre. More bullets flying than your average Batman Premier in the site there. SMF spots and sees a couple at the bottom of mid, and he's tagged down to very low HP. He's only got 20 now. But he wisely drops out and decides he doesn't want a piece of that. They've only got pistols, this Toxic setup. Let's see how things are developing. So Western Wales have got themselves in a position at the top of mid. Kevin looks like he might want a piece of him through the smoke, but he's very quickly picked up on by Pimp, who grabs the frag. Neil from the balcony does get one, so the team leader is going to be trying to lead from the front with the frags as well if he can. Oh, I've had an absolute mare. Windansky's a team leader, isn't he? And we see Western Wales, they are going to be falling back to that tactic that worked well for them last time as they push up. They've got one rotating behind, but with Nico and Pimp picking up entry frags, they might not need to worry about it. Nil mops up Socken, who was sitting in the garden by the ruins. Bomb gets planted, 3v1, and SMF is last man left alive. Going to get on board with him, and he's worked his way into the ruins. He knows he's got a player in the garden, or if he doesn't, he can at least expect it. Not much he can do here. He will have been called now. They know he's there, and Nil pushes in to take him down. So 2-1 in favour of Western Wales. Starting to get the very early advantage here on Inferno, which is largely a CT-sided map, but like with pretty much everything in Go, it's starting to even up compared to the first two versions of Counter-Strike. Seeing the standard nade mid strat from Toxic, and the nades go down and do some damage, but not enough, and SMF is taken out by a team nade from Kevin. 4v2 in favour of the Western Wolves. And Kevin is taken down by Nade. Lot of spam through the smoke did help, and Nil comes in, mops up, nice control with the AK. Grabs Nilzinho at the top by the car, and that takes it to 3-1. So I am expecting to see a buy come in from FM Toxic now, and we do. Going to be looking to turn this one around and lock it down as best they can. If you can keep a team to 5 rounds or less on their terrorist approach, you've done a pretty good job on Inferno, to be honest. And that is still possible, because it was ecos and pistols that were being traded to begin with early on. Windansky's down to 2 HP as he pushes up to the baskets. Not sure he's going to have too much joy, and he does decide to drop out of there quite wisely, I would think. As we see Western Wolves, they're not fully committing to that banana push, but they have got numbers up there. Nico holding out for a mid push if that comes in, but no such luck. And Nil again in a spot where he can stop a push out of apps if that's how they want to go with it. Got 4 players stacking up on banana. We're going to see a push very soon. Nil going to hang back and see if he can grab a couple of rotators. Windansky jumping around, and Socken does a nice job taking Glay. First one pushing in. Socken gets a second, taking down MSL. Pimp does get up to the new boxes. Going to be dropping in the plant as best as he can. And Neil hanging back was probably a good call as he grabs Neil as he tries to rotate off of the A site. Bomb does get planted now. 3v2 in favour of Western Wolves. And this could be the first proper buy versus buy going the way of the terrorists. Pim cuts down Kevsey as he tries to work his way into the site. Thought he might have had a chance there. Might have been able to grab the AWP. Nico, who was in tight, but no such luck. SMF then last man standing, and he's going to be saving that one. That's going to be 4-1. Pimp already coming up pretty big with some half decent entry frags as he racks up 6 after 5 rounds played. Kevsey is sitting on a Golden Slayer -1 after that cheeky nade down mid. Caught nothing but his teammate SMF a couple of rounds ago. So money situation isn't great because we've got 3 players dropping in to the B site for Toxic. But maybe not the best call because there's only 2 players that are going to have to deal with this Western Wolves push up mid, and straight away Kevsy's taken down. I don't think they know there's only 1 more player in there because they have dropped back and decided to go quite passive. But are we going to see a rotate? Yes, we have. So if they decide to drop down and push banana very quickly, then they will only have SMF to deal with in the back of the site. And it looks like that might be something that they're considering at least. Bomb dropping into second mid. But I don't think they're going to go with it. Going to stick with where they got their pick and work on this A site. Smoke goes in and Socken is now not going to be able to work in the way he wanted in the arch area. But he's still going to try. MSL's got some attention in the library. Pim dropping out of the balcony, taking down Nilzinho in the pit without too much trouble. MSL with a frag on Windansky. And Nil grabs one on Wolverine as he steps into the mid area. So SMF last man left alive. Again, he's going to save this M4 if he can. 1v4. Don't think he's going to favour himself in this one, to be honest. So, wisely hanging back, keeping hold of the guns. And as we look at the finances, FM Toxic can probably scrape a buy out of this. And they don't want to drop too many. As a 5-1 is confirmed as the bomb explodes. And the SMF decides not to challenge and just drops in. Good move all in. And the Toxic throw their pennies in the middle and they manage to pick up an AWP for Kevin. who really needs to get things going. No frags so far after 6 rounds of Counter-Strike. SMF deciding to take his life in his hands as he goes the long way to try, or the short way, I should say. Skipping across mid to get to his position at quad. And Nil pushes in against Nilzinho in the apt, and the Western Walls player comes out on top. Bit of action at B though with the nades to keep FM Toxic on their toes, make sure that they don't drop one of these players out quickly to deal with the A threat. And this is nice work from Western Walls as we see Nico with the bomb. Aiming towards a B push as Windansky is taken down by MSL quite comfortably. Socken doing a nice job though, and he takes MSL down. And he looks pretty tidy there in the site, looks pretty composed and has made a couple of nice shots as Western Walls have tried to push fast. Nico nails Nil in the side with the AWP. That's not the best, but he's only taken down to 42 HP. If Nil had copped a nade at some point, that could have gone so much worse as Socken goes in for the push behind. SMF helping out, bedding himself in on the site, and he's bought this with the numbers in favour of SM Toxic then, 3v2. 10 seconds left to go, and they've got to get a bomb plant here. Pushing up into the B side, which is going to be open, but SMF is going to be trying to get there, and if he can't stop the plant, which he is trying to peek for, I think, and he doesn't, then there is a chance he can mop up one of the players, and Nil is completely blind as he looks to try and get aggressive, but Nil does get the shot on SMF in the end. 2v2 then, and Socken is tagged, but not tagged by enough, and Kevin with the AWP mops up, grabbing Glaive on the site, and that's going to take it to 5-2 to Western Walls. And Toxic will have needed that one. They need to get a bit of money in the bank if they can. Make sure they can lock this down from this point onwards. And I think for them, 10-5 has got to be the aim. They don't want to be dropping any more than 9-6, so it could be a very tough T-side for them. And winning that pistol round and the next two after it will start to become very important if it comes down to that. Western Walls seem to be coming more towards the A site this time, only leaving MSL with the bomb up at B, but you can see what they're trying to work here. They want to try and draw a rotate here so that MSL can get in and try and get a plant, or at least you'd think so, otherwise they're not going to leave this guy exposed at the top of Banana. Is it working? Yes it is, because we got Windansky coming in. So he's coming on the rotate. Still leaves Socken bedded in on the site, and he's done a nice job so far for his team in there. And FMF, he's also done a half-decent job for Toxic as he sprays down too with Nico and Glaive going down. Nil does mop him up in the end after being taken down to 32. Kevin with the AWP starting to warm up as Nil goes down as he tries to step into the arch side. Nil holding the angle, or Kevin I should say, holding the angle nicely. Picks up a second one for his troubles as well. All down to MSL then, what can he make happen? He's on board on the A, 1v3, and cut down by Kevin, who is starting to warm up after his shocking team nade towards the early part of this game, and that is a 3-man for him, a hat-trick. And it goes 5-3 to Western Wolves. Be interesting to see if the Wolves decide to go back to their previous tactic of stocking up a couple on Banana and then going for the push there. Worked very well for them, and then with the 1 or 2 players hanging back or trying to work an A pick, you know, they've come in pretty big for their team when they needed it as well. Credit to Toxic, they're not being too aggressive, and that seems to be the stock play for the CT setup as MSL gets 2, taking down Kevin and SMF. Round about the library and arch area. Nice work there then. They get themselves into the site. Going to be dropping a plant on the platform. 2 players in the pit, 1 on the site, 3 players in the pit area actually. This could end badly if a couple of nades start flying in there, and one does. MSL down to 21 HP, but not been finished off yet. Smoke goes in, nade goes in, and again these nades aren't doing as much damage as you think they would, as Neil gets 2. Nico on the site does cut down Neil as he tried to get something going, but Socken still has the chance. He's on the defuse, 1v1, and he gets it. Nico bedded in the pit, smoke all around him, and he does pick up the frag, but it's just too late. Nice work, a nice retake from FM Toxic. Socken wisely barreled himself onto the site when he got the chance, as Neil picked up a couple of frags, and from that point, leaving Nico with the AWP in the pit, was hoping for a fake, but chances are he wasn't going to get it. Now, if you've got someone with a rifle, you're expecting that they might play it closer than the pit, and you'd favour yourself. But MSL, again, picking up frags in bunches as they try and enter. Socken gets 1, taking down MSL, who was tagged down to about 15-20 HP. And Socken is a standout player over at this B site so far, but the plant does go in. Neil on the rotate gets 2. Glaive and Nico standing there pretty much in a line, and gave Neil the perfect chance to get in there. Goes for a fake and draws Pimp into the site, and he does take down Neil, who just wasn't looking. He's checking the back of the site for some reason. That should have been done already. SMF, is he going to try and make something happen? Well, no need, because it's happened again, and Socken straight in through the smoke on the defuse. Excellent play, good stuff. And that's something that sometimes, especially in Source where I came from, players would mess around a bit too much for that defuse, and you'd see double and treble fake sometimes. And for Source players coming in to go and seeing a different way of going about things, sometimes they're not expecting a guy to just go and sit on the bomb and defuse it, which I think is actually a good play. As MSL again gets himself an entry frag, but that was Windansky being a bit too aggressive and trying to push through. Socken did get 1 and felled MSL, but he loses his life for his trouble as well. Ambitious play, aggressive play from Toxic, and I'm not sure they needed to do that, because they are starting to show that they've got the potential to, maybe lock down is the wrong word, because they are having to come in and rely on a bit of a ninja diffuse on the site to do the job. As Glaive comes in, cuts down SMF, who is bedding himself in on the site. Things like passive CT setups are the way that teams are going in CSGO on Inferno, and I've seen it playing to perfection with players dropping back, making use of the graveyard and the pit and the cover that gives you. Got library there as well, which is always a chance for one of your teammates rotating in from B site to come and do something. Western Walls looking to regain their lead here, and it seems fairly likely, because the 2 FM Toxic players aren't going for this one. Just going to hand back and save their weapons. And we do have guns being bounced around though for Western Walls. They've got some cash to play with. So open up, and it looks like whatever happens here, they can at least consider a buy next time round. And already grabbing 6 rounds, they've got to be pleased with this one. But if they can open up a bit of a lead, then it really takes the pressure off them for CT side. They can drop that pistol, potentially. And it's tougher, I think, to hold a CT pistol on Inferno. As the 5-man hard push somewhere is a well-liked strat for the first round. As we see the action going on to the site, MSL has taken down to 5 HP. And Socken at the back of the site gets 2 once again, so he's trying his best to keep it tight for his team over at the B site, but he can't do it all. SMF coming in the rotate. He's been collecting bunches of frags as he goes as well. 2v2 then. Nico with the AWP. He's got Neil for company in the CT area. Neil shoulder peeks and draws a shot out of Nico, but no such luck. They want to try and get this bomb planted if they can. No, they're going to drop out, actually. Interesting, with about 40 seconds left on the clock. might not have been a bad plan, because they did have SMF who'd pushed his way quietly into ruins. Maybe Glaive had an inkling that he was in there, but I could well have seen the plant stopped even, potentially, so the chance of just getting some extra cash would have gone. Plant goes down the site. Glaive's got Neil for company, and they're going to trade bullets around around the site. Nico comes in, backs up his teammate, but just a fraction too late. So it's going to be the AWP of Nico in the pit against SMF, who jumps on top of the van, and Nico does not miss a shot like that too often, and advantage goes once again in favour of Western Wolves, who have got to like this 7-round advantage. Well, there's 7 rounds that they've racked up on the tougher T side. And at this early stage, you would predict that they have a good base to go and push on and take the rest of this game. I've seen the score already, unfortunately, so I'm not going to say anything as Glaive manages to grab SMF at the mid area, and he's going for a second here, and he does as Kevin goes down. They haven't had that much joy in the mid area trying to get the entry pits, because SMF has been having a pretty good game so far. And again, it's been tough from getting into B, because Sokken's been having a very strong game as well. So 2 individuals that we're picking up on there. As we see, he's going to get challenged. He's got the deagle in hand, and with a couple of shots, he takes down MSL. And that's a sick one thing. He's got 3. 3 gone down. And nice work from Socken, who has been the standout player, I would say, not just for FM Toxic, but for the whole match so far. Trying to do a job against a team when they are largely struggling against the CPH Games runners-up. Thoroughly deserved as well, I have to say. I watched a lot of them and watched a lot of the CPH Games. And they've got the potential as Pimp takes down Windansky over in the ruins area. That nade's going to take Socken down a little bit, and Socken decided he was going to spray there when he's been so controlled and clicking heads up to this point. Maybe feeling the pressure, and again he goes for the spray and misses completely on Pimp, who is going to now take the chance to plant the bomb, but he just narrowly misses it. I wonder why Neil's dropping out of there and decided he didn't want any part of it, but it must have been cool that he didn't have time to get that plant in. So nice work and nice comms, I'm thinking. And Toxic now are going to be looking to push through if they can and win out the half. That's got to be the new priority. Just win out the half and win the pistol on Terrorist and do what you can. I mean, potential's there for these guys, because and Kevin and Windansky haven't been having the best games, but they've not been getting hugely out-fragged for the most part, as the 3 top names, Neil, SMF and Socken, have been racking up the frags. No bomb, far too comfortable as they managed to waltz that onto site. Socken was taken down early. He's been the standout defensive player on the B side. SMF comes in, and again he racks up a couple of frags, but he needs his teammates to come and fill in around him. Neil does get one, taking down Pim, but he's sprayed down in the end, and Western Wolves very comfortably mop up and take it to 8-6 in their favour now. And yeah, it's no good having one player who is on point on the defensive side at each site. You need to have everything together. You need to flash and basically flash or double nade at the right time to pin back, or to at least do some initial damage so that you can try and pick the rest of them up. Like, you've both got to contribute to the frags over at those sites, otherwise one man really can't do it all against the kind of calibre of player we're talking about. As we see a push into apps, and Neil and Pimp get Neil and SMF. So Toxic pushed up. They had one player pushing up along the corridor, and they had one in the dark spot, and one carefully timed flash along with some good individual play was enough to take that one for them, and the bomb is planted round about the A site. MSL tries to get Windansky, no such luck, but Glaive mopping up very, very quickly afterwards. And Glaive gets the final frag of the first half, 9-6 in favour of Western Wolves. And yeah, there is a lot of pressure on Toxic to win the pistol. Cool for the players needing a bit of time to sort out their team speak, etc, etc. So we're going to have a short break here. I had a feeling this might have jumped straight into the action, but no such luck. So as we've got the scoreboard here, let's have a bit of a look at it. So Socken, standout player for FM Toxic, doing a nice job locking down the B site. And also got himself in there with a couple of diffuses where he managed to bomb straight onto it, get on the diffuse, and get the and pick up the round for his team while his teammates distracted the remaining Western Wolves players. So managed to pick up 2 rounds out of their 6 from that. And that's a bit worrying. You don't need a third of your rounds, however many you've got, coming from sort of panicked retakes where you manage to sneak a guy into the site and he gets a diffuse that way. It's got to be a lot more comfortable, you would have thought. For Western Wolves, though, very strong performance from the CPH runners-up, and they're showing once again that they are going to be a big force as we look forward for the growth of European CSGO. Looks like we have a minute or two's break while a few things get sorted out with the TeamSpeak or the voice comms. So I am going to come back to this as soon as the game kicks off. Okay, and after a short break, we are back to it. (9-6) then in favour of Western Wolves, and they now square off on the arguably easier CT side. I use the word arguably because it can always play out differently, but if Glaive is going to start ripping faces off of people all the way down mid like that with the starter CT pistol, then what can you do? And that was a very special little shot, and exactly what FM Toxic did not want. This is a vital pistol round for them. They need this one. They need the next two. Mistakes at the 9-0, and then they've just got to try and put together the best performance they can. Probably one of the performances of the tournament, I would have thought, if they wanted to pull it back, because they just have dropped too many on their CT setup on Inferno. But looks like they're setting up a similar kind of way to how Western Wolves did early doors. Don't have the flashes going in, but Nil tries to fire in one of his own, and Nil gets aggressive, and no such luck as Socken, who else would it be, comes in with the entry frag, taking down Nil. So straight away they're in, but MSL is in there, very controlled use of his pistol, and he's got a couple of frags, taking down Nil and Socken, and Neil Zeno. Windansky catches a nade. That was perfect. We need to get him in the cricket team after that one. And that is going to be the pistol going the way of Western Wolves. And you can pretty much call this game over now. You'd expect that they're going to take it up to 12-6 before we even see another bye. and Socken has been slashed with a knife. That's not great when your teammates are doing that. I know he's only come down by 14 HP, but you seriously don't want to be putting yourself up against it, even with a tiny disadvantage when you're already getting smashed. Not the best as we see a fast strat up mid. This could work. Socken again with the entry frag, but Glaive spraying down, and he's got a 4-man going for the 5 with the Bison. Gonna get it, pulls out the pistol, and we do see the ace. That was epic, and what a way to make a statement and say, don't come into my sight when you're doing that. I know it was an eco bash and probably got a bit too excited, but you know, if you've got players pushing en masse at you like that and you're coming out with a 5-man, well, that's making a statement one way or another, regardless if it's an eco, pistol round, bye v bye. As we see Neil pushing up with a shotgun, and we're going to see a spray down here from Western Wolves. Far too comfortable. Glaive on the aggressive push behind picks up the final frag on Windansky, and as expected, 12-6 is where we sit. First bye v bye then. I know it sounds obvious, but Toxic, this isn't a bad round to win, to be honest. Let's get on board very quickly and see what they're going to try and plan for this one. Fairly standard, nothing too aggressive, just spreading out. So we've got players here looking for potential picks. SMF might have one from the balcony, for example. MSL starting to get aggressive up and on, and we could see some action here. And that smoke's going to be covering his push down. Kevsy spamming through the smoke and does get MSL, so he must have heard him or expected him coming, and that's worked out well for him. SMF in the meantime has managed to jump himself into the balcony area and is now in the bedrooms. On board with Socken for a second. Can he come up with some of the early form that propelled him to the top of the scoreboard? Potentially, but his job for the time being is just to launch a nade into the... not a nade, sorry, a smoke. But he does catch a nade, bringing it down to 11 HP. Glaive flashes himself, but drops him behind the site, and that's worked out well, because that flash has also blinded the approach up. And he's already got 3. Glaive has the chance of a 4-man now if he can pick up Kevin. He's got the orb, got the rotate behind, and narrowly misses the feet of that rotate behind. I think he got the tag in the end, if that's nil. Yes, it is. So he got the tag, but nothing more. He's got Glaive coming in to face him. He wants this 4-man. He wants the George. Kevin probably wants to keep hold of his orb if he can. And nice and sneaky manages to slip out of that one. So they do keep and save that AWP, but at 13-6 down, when you're trying to mount a big charge on Terror's side, it is a tough ask. And as you look towards the bottom of the scoreboard, there are a couple of players for FM Toxic that just haven't got things together, whilst Western Wolves are spreading the frags around nicely. Glaive was sort of down a bit before he picked up a 5-man and a 3-man, cutting down aggressive pushes from Toxic. So he's catching right up. And that's pretty much what you need going into a LAN, to see all of your players hitting their shots, putting in good performances. Great sign for the group stages, which is what this game was in the Mad Catz Invitational. And good early signs for the future, potentially, in this tournament, as Nico gets Neil as he steps out mid. Pimp's got one in the apps. He's got a second chance to get SMF, who jumped in through the window. Nice work, nice apps play from Pimp. Socken trying to make something happen here as he's got 2 frags. He's picked up 2. Make that 3. No, he hasn't, because that's Kevin with the AWP. It's worked out well. So 2v2 then, but the 2 players for Toxic are cut down to extremely low HP here. Kevin's got the AWP, going to be trying to get a long-range shot on someone if he can, but Pimp playing very passive in the mid-area. Glaive mops up Socken, and that is the bomb down now. Kevin with all to do. Pimp's probably going to grab him here if he tries to step in, and he does, just peeking the angle nicely. Kevin goes down, and that is 14-6. Are Toxic going to get another round, or are they going to crash out here with a 16-6? I don't know where this other round's going to come from. They're on the pistol here. I guess they might decide that they want to try something aggressive, barrel in as best they can. Maybe try and avoid Glaive, because he seems to like mowing down ecos from what we've seen so far. Now see this mid area, it's not worked well for them. They've been caught in the crossfire a couple of times when they've tried this. Socken trying to make something happen with a deagle. Pimp though, he's got 2. And he's got Soccer there as well, potentially. And he does pick up that frag on the bomber, which was Socken, who's trying to peek the angle with the deagle. Trying to flash back to source when you could literally cop 5 headshots with that if you're on point. Glaive gets Windansky, and it's all down to SNF in the apps. And Glaive mops him up there as well. So 2 more for Glaive, adding to his tally. And he has well and truly pushed himself to the top of the scoreboard after a fairly quiet first half. Not going to say it was a bad first half by any stretch, but that's what matters. If you got players that can come and step in and do a job at various points in the match, then you're not relying on one. It's the best way to go about it if you can. And Nico grabs Neil, who also drops the bomb in the top of mid. Pimp in the spray down, potentially could have had 3, but he only gets the 1. And the SMF mops him up there. Could be a chance then to get their 7th round on the board. They are pushing for the draw, and that's it. Glaive cut down by Windansky, who pushes around the angle and takes Glaive as he tries to get a nade out of his pocket and throw that in to try and even things up. Bomb now planted on the site. So 45 seconds left for Western Wolves to get in and try and get the defuse and find these 3 players if they can. And Nil finds 1, but SMF manages to launch a nade in there just in time to cut him down. SMF 2, SMF gets 3. Round about that duel in the site, and he did pick up 1 earlier as well. So a 4-man for SMF, trying to keep his team in this one as best he can. And he's starting to potentially push Socken at the top of the scoreboard, but not quite there yet. Of course, so for these guys, it's not all about the frags. This isn't public. And it's not a random mix either. It's just about getting the results, and that is exactly what Western Wolves seem to be doing here so far. Draw already in the bag. And for a group stage game, I should have looked this one up because it was potentially going to be a problem in the Nexus game that we did cover. On board with Socken, can he make something happen? Can he get a pick as Windansky backs him up and grabs Pimp as he tries to walk down Apps? Didn't expect to have two players, and Socken rips the face of Glaive clean off from that left mid spot. 3v3. MSL with the AWP, tagged heavily. Socken tries to go in for the push. He is completely blinded there. 30 seconds left to go on the clock. 3v3. And make that 3v2. Looks like there was a bit of a jumble at the bottom of Banana. And Socken absolutely blocked his teammate as he tried to get out of there, and he was caught with the AWP in the end, with the flashes going off left, right and centre. Windansky's already got two. He's got the chance of a third and the chance to win the round here if he can. Not got time to plant, so he's got to hunt. And Nil very wisely drops out. That is the GG, and it goes down as 16-7 in favour of Western Walls. So for those of you that have managed to find this game by some fluke on either my Twitch channel or on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. It's been good, and very slowly, and trust me, it is slowly, I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable with this shoutcasting thing again. So stick with me if you are watching this series. Fingers crossed you'll see the improvements as I will, and before long I will be right up there bringing you some of the best games and being proud to put my stream out there and say, hey, listen to me, I'm doing some shoutcasting. At the moment, no way in hell am I publicising anything, to be honest. So yeah, that's the plan. So keep it locked to the Twitch TV channel and to YouTube. Subscribe if you like what you're hearing, or if you think you're going to like what you're hearing in the future anyway. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching.